Hi, welcome to Live Dungeons and Dyslexia, an hour earlier than normal because of American daytime saving hours kind of confuse things. And as we found out just before we went live, it is your son's birthday. So happy birthday to your son. How old is he?
Thank you very much. He's turning 8, or he turned 8 today, and it only makes me sad because I have 2 boys. One is 6, and until today he was 7. So I could always say there's 6, 7, and the boys they would laugh every single time I did that.
My daughter just started that with me, and I vaguely get it, so I just returned with the I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole because that was ours.
But the way I combat it is I do it all the time, so it's going to become uncool very quickly.
Yeah. I think that's the way to stop them, because we've got 5 kids, so we've gone through so many things. The eldest is now 23, and the youngest is 15. So over the years, they've had some hideously stupid things. But the one consistent is that having that many children, they have their own little sort of party games and stuff that they always talk about. And annoyingly, you're playing songs in the car and they've got their own, like your parents had songs that they liked. And they ruin all the songs by putting their own lyrics over it, which is bloody kids. So my advice is don't have children.
Things never change.
No, they are amazing. So I am joined tonight with Jeff, the creator of TitanBound. Before I get into sort of questions and stuff, do you want to just sort of introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm Jeff Skinner. I founded Torchlight Creative earlier this year, and really to become an independent publisher, and to launch a dream project of mine that I've had an idea for it. It feels like decades. It's at least 1 decade, but I really have been obsessed with gigantic monsters. I think since I was a kid. So everything from Godzilla movies on the UHF TV, get on the bunny ears, and you'd see the bad translations. But then also things like the Transformers animated movie, where the Autobots were inside Unicron and they were exploring, and I was like, how cool is that you would have these giant monsters that are so big and so monumentally huge that you could be inside them. And I feel like there's certainly more recent titles like Shadow of the Colossus, I think, is a major influence on kind of where my brain was taking this. But then also God of War.
Oh, he's gone. We never had this before. It's not draw steel. We've never had this, Chris. Where are we going? Do I just talk amongst myself for a second? There you go. You're back.
Hello.
You're back.
Sorry. So I hopefully we're still live. But you're battling creatures as we just. You're battling creatures on one of the Titans. You're on Gaia. You're climbing up her while she's climbing up a mountain, so she's moving and attacking you and things like that. So yeah, that's something I wanted to bring to life. And when Shadowdark debuted, it was just a big.
I will be talking amongst myself by all accounts. Do you know what? While we're waiting, I'm going to show. He's actually left. He's trying to come back in. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello. We got you on a different channel now. Is that what we're doing?
Yes. I think I'm going to blame daylight savings on that as well.
I would.
For some reason, I'm so sorry. So where did we leave off?
Megabots, big Titans. When Shadowdark launched.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so yeah, when Shadowdark launched, that was the light bulb moment for me. And this was really I started diving in and doing really the hardcore development about a year ago. So it was even before the Western Marches. It just something felt right about it. It felt like a system that had so much potential. I had also gotten Dungeon Damsel, who we're doing a cross collaboration with, which we'll talk about later, but they're the coolest people. And they had done Unnatural Selection, and it was this wild success. And I saw oh wow, these third-party titles can do some really cool stuff. They have this potential, and this system, this amazing system that Kelsey Dion made was just, it had everything there I needed. And so that I was just in. And then I think it's I feel extremely grateful that it feels like my instincts were we're okay because Western marches and now Duscara is launched, and it really feels like we're going to be in this renaissance of people sitting down, creating a character in 10 minutes and playing an awesome Shadowdark adventure.
Yeah, you say 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes up until the inventory.
Yeah,
because
well, that's why they have the adventurers pack. It's just
the adventurers pack. Yeah, but it's always those last 3 slots that everyone's got. So we've got 12 slots. What do we put? Who's taking the torch?
Yes.
Who's taking the rat? And you're like, come on, someone make a decision.
Well, that's why, that's one of the reasons on the campaign, because Titans are huge and strong, and you probably want to go at them at higher levels. We did something. I just did something that I thought would be very useful for players and GMs, and that is create pre-made character sheets. The idea is, we have them for levels 5 and level 7, which I think is going to be where a lot of the Titans fall. And so, not everyone wants to create their own character, but if all of your characters and your backup characters die and fall off the Titan, you can get another character really quick. And that was the idea behind that, where you just take a sheet, you can do it randomly, or you can pick a class, a TitanBound class, come up with your own name on it. We won't fill out the name section, and then you're ready to play. So that was kind of the idea behind that, is to let's give people character sheets that make sense that they can use in a pinch.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we will get to TitanBound and the falling mechanic, which is you sort of capture to stop that TPK. Everyone climb at the Titan. Everyone's failed a dex check. Everyone's dead. Apart from the rogue, because he had advantage. Oh, next check. Oh, now he's dead. But yeah, because I suppose we did meet the other day on the Duscara launch. But I'd want to just find out a little bit more about yourself. So how did you first sort of get into the hobby? What was your sort of first experience in the TTRPG gaming?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, early on, when I was young, I would, like 5-6 years old, I'd make my own games. I was obsessed with like the roll and move games. And in the US, we had very little choice outside of spinning a thing or rolling a dice, and just you move where you move. There's no strategy to it. I created a game. I think I was 7 years old. It was about possums trying to cross the street. Terrible game. But I remember it fondly, and how much fun that act of creation was, and getting my parents to play it. And I guess I didn't know what playtesting was at the time, but that's what we were doing. And then the teenage years hit. I think simultaneously had discovered the black box Dungeons and Dragons with the standees, that one night you do 3 adventures, but you play them all wrong because it's your first time playing. But then also the Dragonlance novels were around that same time, when they became the first fantasy novels I've ever read, but definitely the first trilogy novels. And I mean, that burned into my brain. And so I've always been like a very story-based player, and not as much crunch. Like I want, even when I'm playing board games, for example, I will, if I'm having fun. I remember the first time I ever played the Firefly game, I could have won like 5 turns, but I kept not winning just because I wanted to draw more cards and tell a bigger story set in the verse. So I've always been like that. And so tabletop RPGs fit that perfectly, because I know we all joke about it, but you don't win at D&D. It's not that kind of game. And,
my mom still asks me whether I won, because since losing my dad, I ring her every night. And she goes Tuesdays and Sundays, and she's like, "How'd you get on last night? Did you win?" And I'm like, "We don't." And I tell her every time that we don't win. But yeah, they still think you're winning. Yeah.
If you have fun, you're winning.
Yeah, I TPK'd them. I won.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. As the GM, you can definitely win that game.
Yeah. Just quick break. We'll come back to it. I just want to thank. We've got, I don't know how, so it's Grim Creations for a membership. So thank you for joining there, and Agile as always for sending out a 9 months membership to someone at random, which is amazing. Got our first question, so we'll pick that one up before we get back into your board game designing, because I think that's going to lead into a bit of your. Oh, there's another question popped on. I'm such an amateur. Might there be a Titan so big for adventure guild setup for a town on top of it?
Wow, that is absolutely correct. I love that. That's where your brain goes. What a great question, because I will tell you, the original title of the game was Titan Fell. and I ended up deciding it was too close to Titanfall, and I know EA is very litigious, so I didn't want to risk that. But Titanfell is the name, also a name of a city within TitanBound. And we'll talk later on about kind of how I made everything modular in it. So my goal was to make sure you could fit this into your campaign, including the cities, including the Titans. But Titanfell is made out of the carcass of an old Titan, a fallen Titan, one of the few that for real died during the Titan Wars. And then many other Titans are buried. So in Titanbound cities are the idea behind them was to make sure that they became so important to me because, what is Godzilla without Tokyo to destroy? So I wanted to make sure that these were built up so they would be scale wise. They would make sense with Titans who are 2,000, 3,000 feet high, or 1,500 kilometers. Oh no, sorry. Yeah. 1,500 kilometers. Yeah. Sorry, I did quick math. But I wanted to make sure they were scaled up, and Titanfell was that type of city where it was built in the corpse of an old Titan. They mine to make Titan skin type armor and things like that. So little things in the world. And then there's also Titans that were buried and chained underground, that certainly there could be some cities that don't know it's under there, and they awaken and are angry that they, the place where they fell became this, place full of mortals that are just doing stupid stuff.
Yeah. So we probably just mention the fact I'm such an amateur. We have got 2 giveaways to do. There is the giveaway from the preview that I did on the Dungeons Dyslexia Tabletop Tales channel. And we've got 26 people in the draw for that. And to get it, be in with a free one tonight. All you've got to do is just comment anything. Obviously, if you want to do a super, even better. But if you just comment, write anything, we'll put your name into the draw about 10 to 8. So what's that? 35 minutes time, we'll do a draw, and that will get another copy. And Jeff has kindly offered to sign both of them. So
you
I can't.
You don't want my signature, which I totally understand. I won't sign it. It is up to you. I'll engrave it. I'll do whatever you want to. I'm just grateful you're here to watch.
Yeah. Oh no, we're just gonna get a load of comments saying anything. No, I definitely said pay for a super. But yeah, so what I'll do is so in 15 minutes we'll sort of stop and just do the draw for the one off the other thing. So designing board games, D&D early boxes. So is that what took you into board gaming? Because I found out just before we started you used to work for Simon, or I knew you're not initially. So
yeah. Oh, as many people still called them. Yes. Well, it's funny because I originally grew up in North Carolina, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I was both on the executive side and production side in the entertainment industry. I produced a bunch of television and did a lot of development on titles, but it was the tabletop gaming and board gaming both. Because when I sat down, they told a story, and even to me, board games that are abstract Euro style board games tell me a story. It's just kind of the way it works, and I really started getting interested in a lot of the more, I guess, cinematic brands you'd call them, and that's when I had reached out to some companies just to see if they were interested in working on maybe developing some titles. And I wasn't really thinking about a career change, but yeah, I ended up opening Simon's Los Angeles office, and it was worked with amazing people. They worked with some of the most talented designers and artists and sculptors that I think I've ever worked with, and many of the people I work with today I met through Simon. So they expanded into tabletop games, is where I met Chris Lights, who was a UK GE and Emmy award-winning writer who's writing some on TitanBound. I'm grateful to be working with him. He's such a just amazingly creative person. And yeah, so then I went off to kind of consult and figure out if I wanted to start a label. And really, again, it was the introduction to Shadowdark to the world that the first time I sat down and played, I was like, this is the system I want to live in. And then, it was really figuring out, like, can I do, will it work? And I'm so excited about what we've come up with.
So this is one of the few things that, because some people, when I talk to them, they had a game originally, and then obviously Shadowdark came out, and then they wrote it to Shadowdark. So was this Shadowdark? Was that the inspiration? Go, I've now got to get my shit together. I want to write this specifically because now I've seen Shadowdark.
Yeah, I tell myself every day. I got to get my shit together. Yeah, it was. So the idea itself was really fighting these monumental things, crawling up them, and there was a Kickstarter. I don't want to name it because I don't want to call it out because these things happen. Because I've probably crowdfunded around 500 to 600 things in my life, mostly games, but I
Wow.
have a problem. Yeah, I have a problem. But I love being part of it. I love being part of the community. I love being part of somebody's like dream creation. It's just so like, yes, big companies use them, and that's fine. I think that's a good thing. I think that because you're able to shape whatever that thing is, even with the largest companies, and you're able to comment and you're able to like, be part of it. So one of the few things that I ever backed that didn't deliver was a Titan based role-playing game with a proprietary system, but beautiful artwork. Like, and they funded in 2019. They raised about $60,000 and they have not delivered. Very disappointing. They even had like some preview copies or early copies that I played. It was more geared towards Shadow of the Colossus, and which is part of what you do in TitanBound, but it's certainly not. I think the totality of TitanBound, I think, offers a much bigger adventure when you're going to hunt the Titans. But so anyway, they didn't deliver. So it was one of those things where I was like, how is there not a book dedicated to this? Like, maybe, and again, maybe there is one out there that I couldn't find or I'm not aware of. And if there is, introduce me to it, because I think the more the merrier. But I definitely just said, you know what, let's put a stake in the ground. Let's announce put the pre-camp page up and announce that I'm doing this thing. And but yeah, development did not start until after Shadowdark. It really was Shadowdark that was, and the success of the growing amazing third-party community on Shadowdark that said to me, you know what, this can be done. I really think this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think Kelsey's license has been inspirational for a lot of people. You can just see it sort of ballooning. And it's made it a lot more accessible and easier. There's reading through the comments. There's lots. Do you want me to share the comments on your side of the screen? Can you see them better if I do that?
Yeah, I've got them in the.
Oh, you got them there anyway. Yeah, so we've got a lot of people, like lots and lots of support here, and then obviously we've got this one.
Oh, that's great. Thank you all. Thanks for coming. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I've slowly got out of backing things on Kickstarter and BackerKit purely because I'm tired of spending more money on shipping and VAT than the actual goods that I'm receiving now. And oddly, if you wait for retail, you can get it cheaper, which is, so it means these retailers now are taking an absolute bashing on margins just to get these books out in the shops.
Yeah, so
it's not like the tariffs or the fees or VAT's going away anywhere. So
yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is something that I think a lot of people, people who are active Kickstarter or like recognize this. But it's certain. So I've been involved via a variety of companies, including Simon, in I don't want to say the number, but millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of campaigns, and it's been really interesting seeing the evolution. I was a backer on the very first zombie side, for example, like, and it was
that was such a great campaigin. That was a great campaign. I was on that.
I mean, it really was like I was addicted to it and I loved it. And but seeing how it's changed is that, like, there's a couple things going on. Is obviously we had the pandemic, and then shipping raises, and then everything was kind of out of control. But a lot of companies over ordered games because people were inside playing games, so they ended up doing really well, but then ending up with a lot of inventory. Then we have the tariff things going on. That was another huge blow to, I think, the crowdfunding in general. And I think that because it was pretty standard to be able to not have to pay VAT and legal at the time, but they closed, they made new laws, and that's changed. There was Brexit, of course, which also affected how I think shipping was done specifically to the UK. So there was a lot of things going against what had been done for many, many years. And at the same time, you've got gaming, which is far and away the biggest category on crowdfunding, period. It's the way to launch. I know I thought the numbers would fall because of saturation, but that has not happened. I remember it was four years ago we counted, it was like 3,600 campaigns launched, campaigns launched in a year. And then now it's even more. So you got a lot of savvy gamers who, I mean, if you look at my shelves, they're overstuffed with things. So you've got people, you know, whether it's board game or tabletop space or role playing games, just games in general, you know, they've ordered a ton of things because they're savvy. They've been through a lot of campaigns. They can recognize when things aren't quite right and that sort of thing. So I think it really is on creators to make sure that we are offering them people a reason to come and back us, because you're right. Like if I wait, oh, okay, I'm not going to get a dice, but I'm going to get the book that I want. And who knows, by then, maybe, you know, so I think that it really is up to us to figure out the right ways and the like the fun stuff that we can add that's gonna be so it at least pays for itself on our end. Like we don't want to, I mean, I would do this at a loss because like this has been a dream, but I don't want to. So I really hope that what we're offering, and my goal is I mean, what I've been trying to do is have like smaller monetary spaces in between stretch goals, do things that I think could maybe sell on their own as PDFs, but I'm going to include them for free. Like we're almost done. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's pledged, but we're very close to finishing up a player aid series on PDFs where they're going to you're going to be, if you're a GM, you'll be able to hand out a player aid to somebody like class based that'll have everything that class needs, like organized really easy. So if you're creating a new character, if your last character dies, you're able to jump right in to maybe try something new. Because that was actually one of the things that I loved the most about Shadowdark, which was after spending decades in the same, like literally maybe 2 different games, like years-long campaigns, same character. Like, yeah, I know that character really well. It's great, but I love trying new things too. So it was a really breath of fresh air for me to playing Shadowdark. So that's my goal as the creator. Make it worth people's time and valuable money that they come in and they want to, be a part of it and pay a little, they'll have to pay for shipping and it's not cheap and all that. And it's something I respect.
Yeah. It's weird that we haven't ever seen, because Call Me or Not, C1 as they became the benchmark in the board gaming industry, because they would bring out a game like Zombicide. It's $90 game or $60 probably it was back then. And then they'll just go all these stretch goals, and you just had that FOMO because everything was a exclusive mini, and they do exclusive minis. And they would, I don't even know how they got away with it from a licensing, because they would take 2 famous people.
Yeah.
But what we haven't got in the role playing thing, and I'm glad, is that where you've gone, like, here's a load of books, but if you don't back this book now, you're going to miss all of these, additional stretch goals that you're never going to see anywhere else. And it's great from a business point of view, because you're going to shift a load of units, but it's starting to allow me and other people, we're going to see this comments sort of move, I think, that we can afford to sort of sit back and just go, I want to wait for retail. But it's sad because you want to support the creators.
I mean, I think it's such a good point. So there's 2 different things, like business wise, and this is very much about, and this would go for any company who does like licensed titles. So I think that's perfect to bring up. My philosophy. So I was involved with it, helping out with the campaign for Marvel United. It's my literal favorite board game system. I love the creators. They did such a good job. But when you're dealing with, say, licensed titles that have like 1,000 characters, right? My philosophy was always every character is someone's favorite character. So how cool would it be if during, the Marvel United campaigns, or He-Man campaigns or Dune or whatever it is, that you're able to get as many of those characters into it as possible. And really the only financial way to do it, considering the cost of the molds and the artwork and like everything you have to go through it, is, I think, to make it some exclusive. And, the hope is always that, yes, that like the exclusive ones are not going to be the main ones where most people are familiar with and that sort of thing. And I think that goes for a lot of campaigns. But I agree. Like with board games, because of all the plastic and everything, they're it's a financial investment in a lot of ways. Whereas with tabletop RPGs, like, I agree with the philosophy. My goal with this one was to make sure everything was up front, everything we were going to be selling. I'm not going to surprise anybody with add-ons and make people go in and change their pledges and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to be really upfront with this campaign. Those are the types of campaigns on RPGs that I like. And I want to, and the same thing with the exclusives, is that the way I see it, the way I look at it is that, I mean, let's be honest, like 90% of things on Kickstarter are technically Kickstarter exclusive or
Yeah.
BackerKit exclusive or GameFound exclusive. The reason why is they're never going to have distribution otherwise. It's just the way it is. They're not going to have the demand. They're not going to have the distribution. So, it's very well could be that this TitanBound ends up being an exclusive to BackerKit. That just because everyone who wants it like got it during the campaign. And I think, but I'm not going to limit it to that. Like, I definitely would want if people, once they get it in their hands, they realize, hey, you know what, this is worth a download. This is, this is really fun. That's my goal, because I would love this to live on and hit people's tables for a long time.
Well, that's where we're very fortunate in this hobby kind of the board, because there's no board game equivalent of Drive-Thru-RPG where you can just go on and print off. Saying that, 3D printers or Temu have started doing board games that I don't even know how they get away with that, to be honest. But I
don't know how they get away with shipping to the US at all, man. I'm baffled.
That is crazy. Right, so Semper, thank you for another membership. We've got a couple of questions here.
Oh, great.
I guess I don't need to read it out. You can read for yourself, can't you?
So this is great. So I'll read it out for anyone.
Okay, go on then. I'll put it back up. Sorry.
So I was thinking more of a living Titan. So big humans might be living fleas on harvesting minerals for its body. A cool miner's adventures on top of Titan with that premise. Cool idea. It is a cool idea. So absolutely. So the Titans are enormous. So probably minimum is going to be about 1,500 feet, which is around 700 kilometers, I think, or not kilometers, meters. And then, the tallest are going to top out at a mile high. So these are walking mega. I call them they're like mega dungeons. I think I don't want to like straight up and say they're definitely mega dungeons because how big a mega dungeon needs to be mega. I don't want to confuse that, but like, yeah, you're gonna. When they're living, they're still kind of rebuilding themselves. They've just woken up. A lot of them are confused, and they've got weak points throughout on top of their body, like Shadow of the Colossus, but also, inside them. Like you're going to have the Titans of Rock, the ones who originally made the stone and the earth and everything like that. They're going to have a ton of caves. There's going to be a lot of underbrush to climb through on a tree Titan. Thune is his name. And, they're going to be filled with valuable material for sure. There is the city Titanfell, which I had mentioned. So that's a dead Titan's carcass that a city has been built into, and their mining operations and sports is a huge part of that city in terms of the economy and things like that. So the idea behind the Titans is to make sure each one is, kind of thematically makes sense for what it had domain over. For modular, like the Titans are modular too. And so we didn't in the book tie them to anything specific. Like TitanBound it can be used as a campaign, but it's not necessarily a campaign setting where things are like set in stone and this city is next to that city and this Titan is tied to there. It really is done so that this Titan could be the parent, just like in all mythologies that I'm aware of. They have the parents of the parents of the gods, which are the Titans of the pantheon, those parents. And so whatever your pantheon is and what world you're playing in, these could just be their predecessors, basically, that were overthrown by the gods in your world. And people are fleas on them. These Titans are big enough that they have colonies of monsters. A lot of them have been warped over millions or thousands of years into Titan spawn. So these are kind of creatures that are very symbiotic, have symbiotic relationships with the sleeping Titan bodies. And now the Titan's moving again, they become more active and act as the Titan's defense, or one of the Titan's natural defenses.
No, cool. Right. So there is another question, but I'm going to stop here for now because what we need to do is draw the name of whoever won, because we're at the halfway point to see who's got the first free copy out. So I'm going to go. If you subscribe to the other channel, which is the Critical Misspell, you would be more than aware of our tacky spinning wheel that we used to draw. So we had. Because it makes a sound as well. So we had 26 individual comments on there. So I would just shuffle that up.
And I do want to thank everyone who answered. It looked to me like the Pantheon Priest won, by the way.
Yes. Who we got? Yeah. So that is number 5. So let me, in my amazing technology here, now just go and share. Here we go. This is this. So let's go back to number 5. So we've got what's that? XX Ogoth XX. So I'll contact you on.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah, contact you on over on the YouTube channel, and then we'll go from there. But luckily, he's not here now, so that means everyone commenting now still gets a chance to win the next book. So yeah, so we'll just go back to the question that we've got, which is from Hacker Potter here.
I do want to thank Alamir Trueshot real quick for correcting my math. Thank you.
Oh, okay, on the height and stuff.
On the height, on the translation to meters. Sorry, I'm American, and you know how ignorant we are.
Oh no, it means nothing to me. I still measure myself in feet and inches, and because I'm trying. Well, I've lost 1.5 stone since Christmas. Exactly, I'm in 1.5 stone. Exactly, it means nothing to anybody outside the village that I live in.
50 pounds, no idea.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of fat. It's so
congratulations on the weight loss. That's great news.
Someone's going to put it in the comments. But yeah, so regarding funding, obviously you don't have to directly answer how, but are you happy with the way it's going? Is it been beating your expectations? Is it?
Yes. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm completely fine with being transparent about all this stuff, because it's all public information, which is when you really think about how these things are done and how Kickstarting works, it's fascinating that all this things that would have been hidden in the past. But 100%, I took a big risk price, like making the, I could have set the, the first funding goal at $500 and hit it very quickly. But I really wanted to be honest with like what art costs and everything. I'm really adamant about hiring working with amazing artists, and every single one of them. I just want to shout out Gio and Shannon Ritchie, who've been like a rock star and giving me last minute needs. Chris Morlock has done a ton of work. And there's more. I'm sorry. For everyone else, we have a map maker who's I should have hopefully today, but I can't wait to show you the first map of the city. But being able to pay them fair rates and like their rates, I'm pretty. I don't negotiate rates. I'm like, this is what you're worth. If you're telling me what you're worth, that's what I'm paying you. And I just wanted to make sure I could do that and make sure that if I was going to fund this and create the thing that, for the rest of the needs of the art, because I think it's going to end up being around 300 to 400 pieces of original artwork. Shannon's been killing it on spell. He sends me like 4 spell arts a week. He also works as a tattoo artist, so he's very, very quick when it comes to these things. So yeah, setting the high goal was, at first I was like, oh, was this a mistake? But the response has been honestly amazing. Like, I'm very humbled by people coming on board and leaving comments, and with the amount where we're at now, it's like, wow, we still got 2 weeks left. We hit, it's just over the halfway mark, and I'm almost able to not only finish this project and get it delivered, but also work on the next one, which I'm really excited about. So,
which is what you can't do that. You can't do that. That's like someone going on. When people go on social media, they go, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what's just happened to me," and you're like, "No, carry on saying it or shut up." Do you know
gosh,
you got to tease now. You got to tease something.
Okay, I will say it is what I think is a pretty unique spin on a. It's for Shadowdark, 100%. It is a spin on a rogue-like engine for Shadowdark, and it involves a kind of Shadowdark versions of like city building, things like that. So you're able to unlock the dungeon as you go. So this is kind of this ever-changing mega dungeon every visit into it, but it also has kind of this modular system of like the reason why every time you die in the dungeon, you're resurrected and you go through it again and again and again. The title is my favorite thing about it, and I be honest, I think I'm pretty sure I'm doing it because I like the title so much. So that I will save. That is spoiler information and at the end of the campaign. Although I want to make it clear, and I'll when I announce this, I'm going to make it clear as well. No advertising or no like major work's going to be done on this until TitanBound PDFs have been delivered and the books themselves are at the printers. The last thing I ever want to do is have a back catalog of things that I've not delivered. and I don't think that's fair to. It's never fair to me as a backer, although I'm a very patient person, and that's something that I want to make sure it happens on my end, is that there's zero chance this is going to launch before TitanBound backers have got their product or have almost got the physical product.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So I think we'll jump over to the backer kit page. We'll have a look through that. £21. There you go. That's what I've lost since Christmas.
Hey,
so
thank you again with the math over here. This is fantastic.
I know.
Congratulations,
we know,
man. That's how good.
So yeah, it's been easy as well, really. Just fasting. That's all I do. Well, and obviously working out. Right, let's get on to the Kickstarter page. So because we've got about 20 minutes. So before you got birthday parties, you've got many kids coming in, or is it just a family one?
Today, my son just wanted me to pick him up early from school and take him out to do because I have 3 kids, so we never rarely get one time. And the fact that that's what he wanted to do, I'm like, how could I say no to that?
No. It's so hard with multiple children to get alone time with one child.
It really is.
So
absolutely. You have it worse than I do for sure. I'm impressed.
Well, we're down to 2 in the house now, which is slightly easier.
That's but I'm sure you had a busy few years.
Oh yeah, driving around in like massive vans everywhere because you got to fit them in, and wellies. That was always the worst thing. So just gone 42,014 days to go. So
again, amazing. Thank you, all of you joining us for whoever's backed or even just taking a look. This is just blowing away my expectations, honestly.
So I think we'll just cover this quickly, which is your collab here with Zane and Bunny Daniels of Duscara. So if you pledge for them, if you do PDF and PDF or you go physical and physical, you'll then get either PDF respectively or physical copy of it's a world setting book, isn't it? That
it is actually. If you go down to quickly, if we want to go down to the cross collab, you can click on the left side too if you want to get down there quick.
Right there. There we go. Yeah.
I'll show you. So we were introduced through Martin Poole. Shout out to Martin Poole over at Backer Kit. Very good friend. I've known him for a very long time, and he was nice enough to introduce me to Zane and Bunny, and because I love Unnatural Selection. Again, that was a major influence on my thought process toward this. But they're super cool, and it's just like everyone who seems I've ever met who likes Shadowdark is just awesome. So Bunny said it was Zane's idea. He's like, do you want to do a cross collab? We're not starting at exactly the same time. And so within an hour, Bunny came out with these. She's like, why don't we do these coins? And I flipped out just seeing how cool this is going to be, because we do have a D2 coin that that's part of the dice set, and is included in some of the all-ins and everything, because we have some weapons that do D2 damage. So I thought it would be really cool to have a coin flip. But this is their luck coin. So they went all in on luck coins, and they did the Titan helm on the one side, which is kind of the signifier. The Dragoons wear a lot, the Dragoon class, and then we've got a Rock Titan breaking his chain. So that's, if you pledge both campaigns, that is what they are offering you. And if you scroll down a little on our end, my pitch to Duscara, Dungeon Damsel, was, can I destroy your cities? And I did that because they had shown me a preview of 400 pages at least worth of Duscara, and I was immediately attracted to how they did their cities. We tried to do something very similar where there's a ton of carousing and rallying and we can get in that later, but at city specific things. It was so important to me to make every city just as unique as each of the Titan is from each other, are from each other, because I needed these giant cities to be destroyed. So they said, yes, you can adapt our cities for your Titan defense system, and so that people playing Duscara can fight a Titan, and Titans can destroy cities in Duscara. I cannot believe they said yes to that. I am forever grateful. So I decided to make a 0 issue of a zine series that we have plans for, called Stomping Grounds. And it is this Duscara Under Siege. So that, and one of the add-ons that we are offering are map tiles that are going to be drawn by one of our artists, and they're city map tiles, so that they'll go on a hex grid. So if you're playing, Titans move a hex at a time, and a big timer aspect of it, like once you start fighting the Titan, is that they're like going to be 10 hexes away from the city. So you really are in a race against time as this thing stomps on things through the land before it gets to the city and starts wreaking true havoc. So in addition to the zine, that will also have tiles for the cities that we adapt from Duscara. We'll have Duscara city tile tokens that can go on your map as well. And that's cool. It's just, but actually, sorry, the image is under construction, so there's not too much to show, but you would get those. So that's if you back both. And I myself am backing theirs, so I really want that luck token. So
yeah. See, so we've got there's already one jumping in going, oh, he's going to back both. You just know he's going to. Cause we don't need the money. We don't need money. Won't fit in our coffin. That's what I keep telling my kids. So yes. I've got a question, because obviously I have covered this, but you've got I just showed them there. So you got the city under construction. So you got these hexes that are going to be, so how are they going to be sort of tied into the game? How would you sort of utilize those?
Yeah, that's a great point. So I touched on it, but yeah, so those are going to be the kind of the overhead view of the cities that we have. So all of them pretty unique. Like we've got a city called Field Spring, which is built into the side of a volcano, and it's ruled by a Praetor Scorch. And Field Spring is the opposite of Springfield. So we've kind of done a take on the Simpson city with Scorch. But it's one of my favorite ones. Scorch is an elemental weaver, which is one of the new classes. And it's built into the volcano, so it's very high up. We have Thal Seren, which is the first map I should be debuting. My hope is today, but maybe tomorrow. But it's a city made up of fossilized seashells from ancient creatures that are miles high. So there's 19 of these mile-high towers that are all connected with a weave, and there's they stand. Half of them are in sticking out of water, so there's a huge bay beneath. So again, that when you've got these giant titans, they come across these giant cities. Titanfell we talked about, which is made out of the corpse of a titan. And there are a few more. They've been really, really fun to come to life. We put a ton of work into them. They've got their own carousing and all that kind of thing. And then mechanically, each of these cities basically the way I think most people would want to run it is if there's a citywide threat that a Titan's coming. That's not to say people can't decide the Titan's just going to wander in the desert by itself and you've got all the time in the world to take it down. But one of the timers that we've given as an option to play is that they are stomping there. And we have a table. I know you like tables, but we'll have tables for the reasons why the Titan's after them. We'll even have tables for the individual cities and the Titans, so that if you just want to, all right, we're doing this Titan against this city, he's that far away. And he's ready to go. The way Titans work, it's every time players move what we're calling a height, which is a distance of about 300 feet, people can climb that. So it's kind of like a point crawl, but we're calling it a point climb. But that's kind of the like on a point crawl, the distance between two rooms where you would normally roll like a random encounter. That's what you roll. You make one roll for that to climb that distance. And you go to kind of different major nodes on the Titan. So every time you spend the time to do that, the Titan moves one hex closer to the city. So this gives, I think, the ability for the GM to throw this down and say, well, that's your city. You're here. The Titan's on its way. And you can see that visual countdown as it makes its way. And there's a lot of little tricks too that we've developed, and this will be added to the tokens. Are like suburbs of the cities and villages and smaller places that the Titan can potentially smash. I really love the idea of having, outskirts cities to major metropolises that are the first to feel it, so that the players really see that these Titans mean business, that these Titans are there, and that, your hometown just got destroyed basically before it gets to the city and takes it on. So that's the goal there. So the hope was to, really, my hope was to make sure everything that we used as an add-on was very useful for the game and has like a specific purpose that can make a game easier and hopefully a lot more dramatic.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think a couple of comments came up on the other one is that we didn't get to see what the death shot did. I think people were quite excited by the idea of the death shot.
Yes,
one of the new classes here.
Yes, the death shot is it's our take on a sharpshooter, I think about, in superhero terms, it's Hawkeye, that sort of thing. And the joke that I started with, and I think it came out of this, when we were talking about what does a ranger really do? And I'm just like, look, ranger's going to range, but somebody is going to hit these bullseyes. And it gives players a chance to kind of have that sniper aspect of it, where so the difference between kind of climbing a Titan when you're on the outside of the Titan in a dungeon, and this has been a challenge to write this in Shadowdark style, is that you can see in every direction, especially if it's daytime. Like you can see 800 feet away, you can see its head if you're on its leg, or you can see all the other 4 or more legs that are around you. You can see the tail 800 feet away that's sticking out, switching back and forth, and maybe you're planning on jumping from the hip to the tail or something like that because you think there's going to be a weak spot out there, or maybe there's a dungeon, like an actual dungeon entrance on his tail. So we have to let the players know what everyone can see when they get from height to height. And so that's been one of the more fun aspects of it, and one of the biggest differences of being just in a dungeon where it's a little bit more 2D for the most part, on places you can see. And so the death shot, I think, takes advantage of that, where because you're talking about very long distances, that's what they specialize with, and that's where your abilities are going to come in.
So it's basically the arcane archer that I just love the thought of. From 3.5, it was one of my favorite classes. There was that and the dwarven defender, which was really interesting. But I love the thought of them just standing on the floor, shooting, and then suddenly realize that they're too far away and you've split the party. And then they're just out. They don't get any experience. Got a couple of questions about how heavy is the D20. Not that I condone violence, because people want to throw it at problematic players. We've all been there.
It's about this size. Let's see if you guys can hear this with it filtered out.
Do you know?
Did you hear that?
Yeah. I've just zoomed in a bit as well. So do you want to show it back?
Oh, sorry. So there we go. And then I just drop it.
It's bigger than your head.
I did not. It is. See, and I think I just broke my computer. But yes, so this is not the dice. The custom dice. We almost had samples ready right before the Chinese New Year, so I should be getting real samples in soon. But those molds are already made. They're being manufactured. We really wanted to get ahead of the physical making of this. But yes, they are very heavy. I do not condone violence. But if someone is there and they're making fun of the Titans, I think it's your job as a GM to put that player in their place.
Yeah, so you've got 1 minute just to throw a comment in if you haven't already commented, because we're going to draw for the free book on here. So obviously, we've got about another 5 more minutes. So if you've got any other questions that you want to ask, that are non-violent questions, obviously. What if the Titans are just protecting the planet from humans that are draining the life resources, like Mako energy from Final Fantasy VII? Are we the baddies? We're always the baddies, I think.
Another excellent question. Yes, so that is parts, like the Titan's motivations come into it for sure. Sek, the desert Titan, we call him the Sand Father. He's was Titan of deserts and oases and mirages and things like that. He's got a big secret inside his belly. If you have seen, no spoilers, but if you have seen the finale of Stranger Things, the series finale, there's a little bit of what we're doing with Sek with that one. And yeah, they're gonna have these secrets. They're gonna reveal things about their motivations in themselves and about the Titan God War that occurred beforehand, where the Titans were fighting whatever your deities are in your world. They had been defeated, so they wake up and they're mad, but they've got a lot of secrets hidden within them. And I'm so glad you brought up the Final Fantasy aspect of it, because that was, the espers, when you the summons, that was also kind of a big motivator for me, because I played that game played 7 endlessly in college, and it's certainly in a weird way is an inspiration for the summoner class that just got unlocked, the plane shift summoner. I wanted to figure out how to do a summoner class for Shadowdark, which is really, really difficult when you think about the design goals of Shadowdark and how it should work in terms of speed. And I really stuck to that. It was the hardest one I think to develop, to nail that shadow darkness of it. But I'm very happy with it, because the plane shift summons and it reaches out through charisma. It's a charisma based class, and the universe wants to do him a favor. So universe switches them, switches them with another creature. And so that creature is there acting on their behalf. The universe has done them a favor because of their sheer force of personality. But the trade-off is that creature isn't like a magical construct. That creature can die when it comes. So very much the summoner can put his bonded creatures and his bonded summons into jeopardy. So imagine, having a bonded creature you've called dozens of times through 5 levels, and they die. So I think there's that element of danger that comes out of that. But that was a big the summons, the Esper summons in Final Fantasy VII were definitely a big inspiration on that.
Fantastic. So we've had our last question. We've had just a few more pop in. Obviously, there's the one about romance in the Titans. I say yes. Why not?
That may or may not be an enormous secret that one of the Titans is hiding, and where he or she might be getting their secret power from. So, my hope is, if you want to, Lasercat, you are free to write a romantasy book with the TitanBound. I support that.
So 22 comments. Good luck, everyone. So we call this, I think it's the Wheel of Misery we call on the other channel, because it just makes one person happy. Oh, look at that. The last commenter.
Wow, they come in for 2 seconds and they
just jump in. Right, that is Ryloth, who's here. He's just here. Is the winner. So it's Ryo TBH. You've won a copy. Congratulations. Signed or unsigned, however you want it. I assume you're going to want them to join your Discord. Is that going to be the easiest way to set this up?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to get their info, so they don't have some random person like myself contacting them, and just make sure they're comfortable with sharing their email with me, then I can take it over, or it can go through you. I'm fine with whatever you want. Well, we can figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they're on my. They watch a lot of my lives, so I see the name a lot, and I don't know whether you're on my Discord or not already. So if you are, just let me know you are. And this is always the danger where you have like 30 people on your Discord going, "It's me." I'm Spartacus. So
I do. My hope is, so there's 2 comments I wanted to do. One is from Chris Black GB. Sorry to be that guy, but time again you say how hard it is to design X for SD, and this feels to some of us more suited to be made for heroic system. So why Shadowdark and not something else? I love that question. I really do, because that is the thing that I ask myself all the time through this process, is like, why Shadowdark? How do we make it for Shadowdark? I think that Shadowdark is difficult no matter what you're doing into it. If you're like me and talk way too much and are way too, use too many words for things, which clearly today illustrates, in general, Shadowdark, I don't care if you're writing gear descriptions or the little bit of fluff that you're allowed to have in Shadowdark or whatever it is, you write it as slimly as you can, and then you cut it in half. Like, it really is one of those situations where every word has to justify its place there, to do a class in literally half a page. Like, there may be charts and other stuff like that with a class, but it's half a page. And I just love that it's, as a writer and as in developing it, having that restriction for me has inspired a lot of creativity to figure out, how do I get to what I want this to do and not make it 5 pages long, like every class in a lot of RPGs that are designed for you to play a character heroically for a long time in many sessions. So it's just different in that. Like, I want to make sure that this is right for Shadowdark, and I think Adrian in his preview mentioned, and I totally agree, that some of the Shadowdark things are, oh, that's pretty powerful, and I agree. So there's still fine tuning going on to make sure that all of these classes could fit in. I mean, it's the ultimate dream to have people really like a class and want to bring it into their world and everything like that. Hopefully divide the line between being useful for Titan hunting, but also fun to play in general, that you may want to live with those classes for a little bit longer, and then make sure that they're not, and make sure that they fit in, but then also, if there are instances of where a character has some powerful abilities, make sure there's a counterpoint to it. And I discovered this about myself yesterday. It actually wasn't until doing a lot of streams that I was really thinking about what I was doing as a designer, and unconsciously I realized that I've been doing a lot of press your luck, and I didn't necessarily mean to. But one example is the Spell Reaver, where the idea is you can only use attack spells. You are a magus, basically. You are, you're battle ready. You're a battle mage, but you can overclock yourself. You can step into dangerous arcane territory by casting more powerful spells earlier. The trade-off to that is they're still hard to cast. You have a greater chance of failure, and if you fail at a spell casting check a certain number of days, you drop to 0 hit points, like the arcane energies you've used. So there becomes a lot of strategy with figuring out how far you want to push yourself. How important is it for you to do this? In fact, I used to just have literally the character die for good, but I was convinced through their development that no, just have them drop to 0. They can be revived and all that. But it really puts you in a lot of danger. And I discovered that some of my characters had that kind of push and pull where they have powerful aspects about them, but they come with a price.
Fantastic. Was the other question the Titan versus Titan show? So Bunny's just dropped in. So hi, Bunny.
Oh, what a great question. Hi, Bunny. Thank you so much for watching. So that may be on the table, if I can hint at that. So, right, we do have Titan versus City combat. Titans, I haven't decided if I'm going to do this. It may be too cheeky, but Titans have like 10,000, 50,000 hit points. You can't just attack them. That's the thing. They're not defeatable in that way because they are, the elements themselves. So we do have Titan versus City combat, which the Titans, they don't even roll an attack roll. They just roll for damage. Cities themselves have passive and active damage for each district that they have. And that's a lot of the work I'd be doing for adaptation for the Duscara cities. Titan versus Titan, I'm just going to say it's on the menu. It's something that we really liked. It for me, I love the idea of the players working with a Titan or being able to control a Titan, for example. So it is something that we are absolutely interested in. And we may get there.
Fantastic. So thank you, everyone. I think we've picked up everything. So Chris is just saying that he's going to go and because you should have done it for Draw Steel, and then he'd have been happy.
Also want to shout out to Nebin World for saying how excited he is. I had not heard of Drylands, so thank you for introducing me to that. I want to go check it out. For me, I'm like the tide rises all boats. Like, I love that fighting big creatures is in the air right now, and I'm very grateful that you're excited for this. So thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. So hopefully, 2 weeks to go, 40,000. I reckon you can break 100. We'll get you there.
That would be beyond all expectations, and we would have to do something really special on the campaign if that becomes a possibility.
And obviously, don't forget the collab with Duscara as well. So go and get that, get your coin, get your bonus adventure.
Back Duscara, I've read so much of it, and it is totally next level. They're up in the game for third parties. That's my most, that and getting Western Reaches in my hands are my two most anticipated projects.
Yeah. So finally, not to hold you against this, obviously you've discussed what's coming up next, but have you got an idea of when we're going to see sort of PDFs in our hands and then physical copies? I'm guessing a few months on.
Yeah, I think very soon after. So we have I think we'll see some like beta versions of a lot more things come out, so people will have access to it. We're always happy to take opinions and tell me if something sucks. I'm totally fine with that, because we want to make sure it's fun. I mean, that's the I know it sounds weird to say, but like the rule of cool is like, I want people to feel like they're having fun, but they're always in danger, which for me represents a lot of Shadowdark. So betas of the classes, of other things, the major beta that we'll do as soon as it's done, I want to do more internal development, and that's one of the first Titan adventures. It's one of those things that I don't want to put the work on anyone else but myself and my team. I don't want to expect other people who have already pledged for this to tell me how to make my game, because you're no doubt going to make it better, but I want to make it as good as I can make it before I debut it, because that's very much the centerpiece of the book, is the Titan adventures. So we want to make sure that the first impression we make is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Jeff, been great to meet you for a second time. I don't think I've ever
Yes.
been so close to someone in a couple of days, so it's weird. Next year, I can come to your son's birthday party. So
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, when you go to Gary Con next year,
that just sounds wrong, doesn't it? Now I've said that.
Just come with your kids. I think it'll all work out. If you ever want to go to Comic-Con, I'm also there every year, so you can come stay. We'll drive down to San Diego.
Yeah, oddly, Comic-Con's the one that I can get to. One of my mates from school lives in Indianapolis, and
that's Gen Con. Gen Con.
Sorry, Gen Con. Yeah, so I can get to that, and he said I can stay at his house for free. And every year I duck it.
You got to take him up on that.
It just terrifies me. There's too many people. It's way too many people. You want to see if you ever come here and you see the size of the town I live in, you'll realize why I don't go to cities.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, Jeff, no, it's been amazing to meet you. Good luck with the rest of the project. Obviously, again, just a quick plug for Duscara. Going back both two amazing projects, both on backer kit. I will reshare your link here. Obviously, you've got a Discord that is growing as well. So if you send me a permanent invite for the Discord, I'll put that into the video description as well, so you can go on there and jump on it. So for everyone, thank you for all the comments. Thanks for the memberships. And right off the TBH, enjoy your free book. So
yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you soon. Take care.
All right,
bye.
Bye.